The Thunder took Game 5 by storm. They're in the lead. The Pacers are behind in a series for the first time this playoffs, and boy, oh boy, the words MRI hit your screen yesterday. Tyrese Haliburton is hurt. Where do the finals go next? What happened in Game 5? A crossover. Locked On Pacers and Locked On Thunder breaking it all down right now.
You are Locked On NBA Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Another Locked On Pacers, Locked On Thunder crossover here for the NBA Finals. I'm Tony East. I host Locked On Pacers. With me today is Rylan Stiles. He hosts Locked On Thunder. So much to unpack as the series shifts back to Indianapolis for the second and final time of the finals. Can the Pacers get this back to Oklahoma City? Is it over? A big injury looms to talk about Game 5. One of the more dominant in the end performances, although it did get a little close in the fourth quarter. If you're here for the Pacers trade, go back an episode. Yes, the Pacers made a trade in the finals. The Nuggets did it 2 years ago. They want a championship. Bad omen, Rylan. The real bad omen. We saw him moving poorly. He missed all his shots. Rylan Stiles, Tyrese Haliburton has a calf strain. We do not know the severity of it yet. The MRI, as I reported, it was on Tuesday night. So we will probably find out at Pacers practice on Wednesday, maybe a little before that. We'll see. What did you see from him in Game 5, and how do you feel like that transformed the series before we talk about what it could mean going forward?
Yeah, I just thought that he looked extremely uncomfortable and passive in a bad way. Obviously, you want Tyrese Haliburton, who's an excellent playmaker, to be passive, but he wasn't passing to advantages for his teammates. He was passing from his heels, really just looking to get off the ball. And this is a guy who, in my opinion, whenever he's had the most success this series, has been getting downhill. And that opens up both some tough rim finishes. You've seen him pull off some impressive reverse layups and conversions at the rim, but also opens up his passing lanes to find open shooters and to help the Pacers offense really get into a flow state. And in game number 5, he just couldn't do much of anything. And I think that it was because of his physical limitations, and it wasn't at all really due to his skill set. It's just, he's clearly playing hampered, and this is a storyline that's been brewing, since Game 2, where he was limping off the podium whenever the Thunder tied up that series, and he went on to have, some of his best games since Game 2, and then, of course, the Game 5 dud in the box score. But, you have to give him credit for gutting it out, but I think that it was pretty telling after the game that you have more insight on, of just Rick talking about the conversations that they had to have at halftime about whether to take him out, whether to leave him in. Clearly, hat tip to Haliburton for wanting to keep playing. And after that game, why I think that we might find something out at practice, and otherwise they could have sidestepped it, was after the game, it felt like they were both pretty adamant that he's going to play in Game 6. And now this comes out to where if they at all back off of that, then perhaps we do know what the case is with his injury, but it just sucks. And I think that Haliburton, just the thing that it changes the most is his ability to get downhill, which really hampers how he can be effective.
Yeah, I thought the thing that was most noticeable in Game 5, I already talked about on this show a little bit, is the ability to change direction with the ball and on the move. Like the play I keep talking about was like one of his first attacks of the third quarter. He got in the lane, he tried to pull out of the lane, and he just turned around and just stopped, right? And we've seen him in the playoffs on like 2 of his signature shots run all the way out to the three-point line. This time he just threw it to a teammate, and I was like, oh man, like he couldn't turn around and keep moving. And that for a guy that jump passes, fadeaways, like a lot of his stuff is on the move, requires movement and changing of directions to be effective. And so they kind of planted him in the corner and like, oh, TJ McConnell's coming in a little earlier in the second quarter. Oh, he's coming a little earlier in the third quarter. These are not good signs. It was very clear that it had a basketball rotational seismic impact on them. He was in the game when they cut it to 2. Like he wasn't useless by any means. Lou Dort was still like, I'm going to guard you away from the play, but clearly hampered. And now you wonder, I mean, I think it's obvious if this was just any other game, he would not be playing, right? Which does suggest some level of the severity, but we'll see what the grade is. Like one of the PTs I know said if it's grade 1 or 2, I would guess he would play through it. And if it's grade 3, he won't. We'll find out again more probably the day that you guys are listening to this. In fact, there's a chance we already know, but that's where the series goes next is. I don't know how you feel, Rylan, but like going into Game 5, I don't know if he re-aggravated it in Game 5. He was already bothering him in Game 5 because we've seen him with the tape on there, right, doing treatment before the games, all that stuff, right? Legs in the ice after the games, all that stuff. But going into the game, no one had this idea that he was going to be that limited due to injury. And throughout the game, the Thunder, and specifically Lou Dort, were guarding him like he had been awesome the whole series. now they know that he might not be awesome. So one, this changes things because we know going into the game, Tyrese Haliburton is not going to be 100%. That can change the way the Thunder defend. If he doesn't play at all, that's a different discussion. We'll touch on that at the end of this, but that alone changes your points of emphasis as a Thunder defense. It makes it that much harder for the Pacers and their secondary creators, who will have to rise in the ranks of the creation ranks, to be better. And so that is just a huge battle for the Pacers to be fighting. Even if he is playing, they can't win, but it's way, way harder.
Yeah, it does change some things for OKC. It makes some things easier in terms of decision-making, especially in the pick and roll against Haliburton, where it's you're not going to have to blitz him as hard. You're not going to have to hedge as hard on the other side of the screen. You can just simply go under screens even, because you feel like, you mentioned his change of direction. I think also it's hurt his, acceleration and deceleration, in the sense of just the tempo that he plays with, to where Lou Dort is skilled enough as a screen navigator to attack the outside hip of the screen setter, get underneath the screen, and then recover onto Haliburton before he can launch a three. And we know his limitations getting to the rim now with this injury. So you can pretty much just put Lou Dort on him alone with no additional help whatsoever. And that leaves more talented defenders to stay home and to try to fluster Indiana's offense whenever they usually can create advantages in the pick and roll, because usually the Thunder are going to have to either switch or blitz him off the pick and roll and then show and recover to their man. And in this case, I don't think that they're going to send a ton of extra bodies at him. It's just going to be Lou Dort fighting through everything to stay with them, or Cason Wallace even could take his turn at it. If you don't feel like Haliburton can get into the paint, you can just have Cason be around Haliburton and do that same role with Lou Dort, matching up with somebody else. So that opens up one of your best, if not your very best, perimeter attack defender to go elsewhere. If you're Oklahoma City, it just opens up a lot for this Thunder defense and makes life even harder for the Pacers to game plan.
He is the guy who can throw that skip pass that actually, the Thunder are oh crap, that was really on target. We have to, and that might not be there. We'll see. And this is all just guessing. He could look totally fine, right? But this is a huge talking point now. And so I wonder if the Pacers, if they know how limited he will be, will try to work in okay, he is a good catch and shoot player. Go over there, go stand over there. See how much Dort's willing to sag off of you, because he can do that. I'm not saying the injured Nembhard drive and kick to Tyrese Haliburton is going to be a key play of Game 6 of the NBA Finals, but that's not obviously something to ignore if you're the Thunder. And we've only talked about offense. This is already a defender that the Thunder are picking on before the injury part of this, right? And so that's something else to think about here is he's going to stay on Dort, but does Dort have the power to just bully that into points? Can the Thunder just bring in a billion more ball screens? How does that side of the floor look? Again, it didn't look so this is impossible bad at the end of Game 5, so I don't want to make this something it's not. But if he's limited, that is something I imagine the Thunder will also try to pick at.
Yeah, I'd imagine that you'd see the Thunder open up some possessions with Lou, bringing the ball up the floor whenever the game's first beginning, just to test it out and see what that looks like. See if you can, because the Pacers have been, in my opinion, a little bit too willing to switch on these ball screens from Oklahoma City, especially when the Thunder can set them higher and starting out in their first action just past the timeline, to where if Lou Dort's the one bringing the ball up and you still are willing to give that switch whenever he brings someone to the ball, now you have Haliburton on a guy like Shea or JDub, and the Thunder are very comfortable playing with Lou Dort as the initiator. They especially do it out of the second half a lot. So you could see them do it in the first half because of the situation that you're talking about. Whereas ideally, Indiana would just put him on Lou, and Lou plays this off-ball three-point sniper role, and he's a streaky shooter to where you can get away with it. But if they put Lou on the ball a little bit to start this game, it can really stress test Tyrese Haliburton very quickly. I think that this whole saga, no matter how severe or not severe, or if he's going to be okay or not, if he's going to play in the game, he's clearly going to be hampered a little bit. To me, you need a fast start if you're Indiana, because I think that the best version of Tyrese Haliburton is going to be the opening tip. I think that that's going to be the very best version of the adrenaline. You just got 2 days of treatment. You're never going to be as close to 100% as you will be at the opening tip if you're Tyrese Haliburton and the Pacers, to where you've really got to start fast, really got to have this crowd behind you. And it's a closeout game, hardest one to win. Oklahoma City has been very bad at shooting the ball on the road. If you can have a quick start, then you can take some momentum and then carry it through to whenever that maybe some limping comes in for Haliburton and for the kind of Pacers who are beat up right now a little bit.
And there's a chance that this 10 minutes is just moot and he looks fine to start the game, right? Like at the beginning of game 5, no one realized anything was going on until he was clearly reaching for it. And obviously he's been diagnosed with something different now, but we'll see where that goes. And the other part of this is if it is too bad and he literally cannot play, Andrew Nembhard, what you got, champ? Last year against Boston, like a hero's tale that this dude was balling, beating Drew Holiday to the cup, scoring like crazy, a 30-point game. In the 29, it might have been, whatever. In the conference finals, like he is capable of that. It's not like a very nightly thing or a consistent thing, or else it would happen more often. But, I think he can do some stuff, but the passing not being there is huge against Oklahoma City. So they would need to be basically like perfect in their execution. Man, I don't even know who would start in that case. Like last year was Ben Shepherd, but I've been like, are they even going to play Ben Shepherd in this game now? He barely played last game. I guess it would probably just be Mathurin, try to get as much ball handling on the floor as you can. Actually, that does make the most sense now that I think about it. So Nembhard, Siakam, Mathurin, go cook, do your thing. Hope they can make enough of those because the defense will have to be better and they'll have to find a way to score enough because they can't score enough now.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
They can't. I mean, and you look at the Pacers, whenever the opportunity comes, because whether Haliburton plays or not, they're going to be in a position where he's not on the floor. Like, your hope would be that Lou Dort's a guy who's an excellent defender, and there's nothing you can take away from Lou as a defender. But just like an offense, we think of this typically as offensive scores, but it does work in Lou's case as a defender, where the more he sees you, the more he plays against you, the more comfortable he is with your tricks and your antics. And you can kind of surprise him a little bit whenever he's first matched up with you, because he's such a guy who is used to a certain archetype, who's used to a certain player that he's matched up with, to where you have a huge body of work of what they like to do on the ball. You have a huge body of work of how they like to score. And then whenever he has to, on the fly, shift to somebody who has a less of that reputation of, kind of a track record of, okay, when it is Nembhard's time to run the show, what does he look like? What spots is he trying to get to? Where is he trying to go on the floor? That's where you can get Lou off kilter a little bit until he sees it, until he kind of adjusts to it, to where, again, the fast starts is the biggest thing for Indiana.
Let's wrap up game 5 here and look ahead. Can this series get back to OKC? But before we talk about any of that, I need to tell you guys about the great people over at Game Time. There's nothing like the NBA Finals, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds, great crowds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live. This year's matchups have been delivering. If you want in, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest games. Prices on the app drop closer to tip-off, and with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, it's a total game changer for the ticket buying experience. You can see your seat view before you buy, so there's no surprises. It's ridiculously simple. Just 2 taps, and you're done with their Game Time guarantee. You know you're getting the best deal. If you find a better price in the same row and section, they will credit you 110% of the difference. In the NFL, here it comes. You can find great seats for as low as $100 thanks to their exclusive discounts. Their Game Time guarantee, it's 100% authentic, on time, for the best price. You want to get NFL seats, now's the time. Go watch the Colts. Go watch whatever people like in Thunderland. The Chiefs, probably. They're really good. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Back here crossing it over on Locked On Pacers and Locked On Thunder. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Locked On Pelicans, your second listen. They made a trade with the Pacers. Or Locked On Suns. What the heck is going on with Kevin Durant this time? There's an update every single day. I love updates about updates. It's so fun. Hopefully he gets traded soon and I don't have to hear about it anymore. Okay, Rylan, was I correct? Is the Chiefs the team that everybody likes in OKC? The Cowboys?
Yeah, I would say it's split. Oklahoma City and North would be the Chiefs. Oklahoma City and South would be the Cowboys.
Let's talk about Game 5. That was a 2-point game at one point, but that is not how anyone felt about it at any point. The Thunder felt like they were in control for most of the game. They went up 10 in the first quarter. They won the game by 11. They kept the Pacers kind of at arm's length for most of it outside of that TJ McConnell plus early fourth quarter surge. What struck you as the things the Thunder did better than they did in Indy, or things that they can continue to do well as the series progresses?
I think that this was a carryover effect from the fourth quarter of game number 4, where the Thunder finally looked like themselves defensively. They did so in the fourth quarter of game 4, holding Indiana to 17 points. They did it for a sustained game in game 5. And I think that's really one of their first games this series of playing a 40-minute game of their brand of defense, creating turnovers. And this was the best job that they've done all series long of capitalizing off of those turnovers, and they still left opportunities on the table. Alex Cruz had a few wild attempts at the rim that could have been easy points for OKC. They also had a kind of feel it out portion where like they almost tried to make up for all of the bad transition opportunities all in one possession, to where they didn't understand that, hey guys, you don't have the numbers here. You got the live ball turnover, no numbers, pull it out, get reset. And they tried to just hit the pedal to the floor, and that cost them some points there. So like they can even get better in their transitional looks, but this was by far the best that they've done, capitalizing in points off turnovers and capitalizing on live ball turnovers, especially in the fast break. So those two areas were massive. And then you got the 40 burger from Jalen Williams. JDub had the best game of his career, and he was able to really get downhill at the cup and play with offensive force, the likes of which that we haven't really seen from him, in the sense of putting it all together. This was a game that it wasn't as though Jalen Williams just completely took over from a usage standpoint, from a ball stopping standpoint. All of these buckets came within the flow of the offense, even whenever he was on the ball, but especially whenever he was a cutter getting to the rim. But he put it all together as a player who understood how to use his frame, which is one of the best frames in the NBA for his position and strength, to get to the cup and finish through contacts and get to the free throw line, which if you look at this final series, his free throw attempt numbers would be his career best. And kind of he's been able to unlock that part of his game, the missing piece. And that's what makes you a great scorer. You know, if you wanted the difference between the 25 to 30 point per game mark, it is about getting to the free throw line, and he's finally coming around on that side of the floor. But then Chet Holmgren, going back to the defense, Chet was awesome. Their big three showed up, and Chet didn't do it in the points category, so it's not as sexy. But how many plays did Chet Holmgren make defending in space that really saved this game when that stretch was coming? When those couple Pacers runs happened, he was there to pick guys up in space in the half court. The play he made, deterring a shot in the mid paint, flipping his hips, blocking shot at the rim, coming off of a broken hip on November 10th is spectacular. And that's kind of what happened. I mean, the Thunder got their game from their top three guys, plus a bench guy. Indiana didn't get anything from most of their top guys. Siakam was fine and good. TJ was good, but they didn't get anything from Haliburton because of the injury. I'm not bashing Haliburton. It's just, that's kind of the plain and dry what happened.
You're never going to work at ESPN if you don't bash Haliburton, man. Let's go. Come on, get on.
Yeah, true. I mean, that was, I will say that's just so ridiculous. And to bash Haliburton, and I'm not trying to win brownie points in Indiana, but to bash Haliburton after the playoff run that he's had, of like, he's clearly not scared of the moment. He's clearly able to produce, even after having a subpar game in game one, which I hope I'm not hurting any feelings in Indiana. That was not Haliburton's best game in game one, but he had the best moment because he always keeps himself available and ready in these clutch time game shifting moments. Like it's clearly nothing about that. It's clearly all about his health, which when you factor in his health and the fact he's going against a historically great defense, it's a recipe for a disaster. And of course, his box score was disastrous in game 5, but there's absolute logic and reason to why that was.
So the things you said about game 5 that were also things I thought were huge. The defense continues to be a problem. And like we knew this, we've talked about the points of the paint stuff and the turnover stuff, but I asked Pacers players about this and they largely agreed, which makes me feel better about it. That was the first time the whole playoffs that I've been like, oh, they got sped up. Like they were playing too fast. And that's so unusual. And that manifested in bad shots or passing out of good shots because they're thinking so hard about making the right play, or like what was going on with Siakam's hands early or Nembhard's hands late, like the ball's just flying all over the gym. And that's rare. The Pacers being out of tempo that direction almost never happens. And that's full credit to the Thunder, who are playing such a strong defense that the Pacers are strategizing how to beat it. Like they're not like inept, but they're thinking so much that they're not comfortable. And in this case, they were thinking about playing fast and it made them look slow and ineffective. So they need to settle in, and that's hard to do. It's the finals, right? Like you got to find a way to calm down. And they did as the game went on. This is the second game of the series, game 1 being the other one, where I felt like as the game went on, part of their improvement was just like taking a deep breath, but they dug themselves a 10-point hole and an 11-point loss in the first quarter. Like that's a big part of the game, right? So they can't get off to those slow starts. They've got to play their tempo early against this very, very good OKC defense. Like the line is the same. This is the whole playoffs. They're undefeated when they reach 110. They have not won a game when they don't. They hit 109 last game, so it holds barely. Yeah. They would not have won if they hit 110, but still, it makes it funny for a good stat. The other part is JDub, who since game 3 has just been kicking their butt. I mean, game 3, they lost. The Thunder lost. You and I talked about him and these funky cross-the-lane floaters that were going on. I was like, what is this? What are these shots? And he just continued to get better and better. Neesmith's had trouble with him, and the whole Pacers have had trouble with him because he's not just like cooking Neesmith over and over. He's doing the stuff you said, the cutting, these random shots like away from the play. They're like floaters in the paint, but I'm like, where did he come from? What is that shot? How did he end the third quarter with that? Just huge baskets over and over again. And Shea's already enough of the thorn in their side to have another guy be this good. It's like, oh gosh, like that was the first game of the series where I was like, okay, the Pacers defense has not been good enough. Like I felt like in the first 4, their defense gave them a chance, even though they only won 2 of them. That was the first one where I thought, even if their offense was better, which again, go back to the 110 number, they would not have had a chance, right? So those are the 2 things that I think in game 6, if JDub's that awesome again, or if the Thunder defense gets the Pacers out of their tempo, especially early, like you mentioned, Haliburton's best minutes might be early in the game, they might just be toast, right? They've got to solve at least one and likely both of those problems. And turnovers obviously are a part of the getting sped up thing because everybody's been talking about how many turnovers. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think that when you look at this game, it's like the Thunder also shot the ball better than they have in this series. So like that played a part in it. And part of that was JDub as well, of capitalizing on catch and shoot 3-point looks that just weren't going in earlier in this series. And so you got the Wiggins catch and shoot game from 3. You got some triples from Case and Wallace, which has been a non-factor in this series offensively. So those things on the margins turn for OKC on top of the massive things that happen. And to your point, that they were sped up. And I think that being sped up for Indiana was the difference, because when they got it down to 2 points, what happened? 4 straight turnovers. Just like, relax. If you just calm down and don't turn the ball over 4 straight times, like you can not only tie it and take the lead, but you change the entire dynamic of this game, because you felt it. Like the energy in the building completely shifted. It was like, oh, here we go again. It's a repeat of game 1. Whenever they cut that to 4 and then 2. And
what did you say? Don't leave the door open if you don't want visitors. That was a good bar.
Don't leave the door open unless you want visitors, Tony. And they left that door open for Indiana, and Indiana didn't give them time to themselves time to bust through it. I mean, they just kept.
They were a solicitor, not a visitor in this case, right?
Yeah, they were a solicitor with a no soliciting sign on the door that they just stumbled over themselves and ran back away from the beware of dog sign. It was just not a great night for Indiana in that regard.
That was a good pun. Don't people bark for JDub?
Yeah, people bark for JDub. I'm glad you caught that. That's a joke that can only work on Locked On, because we actually travel to the games for this finals.
I did not realize that was a thing, that they barked. I'm glad people got to see it on TV. I don't know if you could hear the crowd for the starter introductions, but the Lou and the barking are quite impressive. Do we need to chant MVP when he already won? Can I ask about the technicality of this?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because now you're hoping that he wins another MVP. So it's like, do Jokic fans still need to chant MVP whenever he's at the line? Like,
we were in MSG for the conference finals, me and the other indie guys, and I'm sitting next to them during the game, and they're chanting MVP with Brunson at the line, and I'm like, okay, during the regular season, I get it. It's like they gave the award already.
Yeah,
like what are we doing?
It's like, I guess you could say that they're trying to win Finals MVP. I don't know.
I know the spirit of it, but I'm like,
and it's like he is. Technically, there's no better time than now to chant MVP, because he actually is the MVP. So spin zone, Tony, you're wrong. You're out of your depth on this one. This is the only time to chant MVP, when you actually have the MVP award.
Yeah.
It's a propaganda tool. That's what you're thinking of it as.
I guess. Can the Pacers get this back to OKC, Rylan? We will discuss that to close out this crossover, Locked On Pacers and Locked On Thunder. But before we get to that, let's talk about Olipop, a new kind of soda made for people who love the classic taste of soda but want something that supports their health, with just 2 to 5 grams of sugar and 9 grams of prebiotic fiber in every can. Olipop is reimagining soda in a way that's better for your gut. Traditional soda is loaded with sugar, 39 grams in regular Coke, 44 grams in Orange Fanta. Olipop flips that script, just a fraction of the sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and gut-friendly ingredients like OliSmart, a blend shown to support digestive and overall health. Soda that tastes like the real thing, but actually does something good for your body. If you've been paying attention on YouTube, you could see me sipping on my crisp apple Olipop this whole time. 2 weeks in a row, Rylan and I have recorded while I've had one of these. The cream soda is very good. The orange vanilla is very good. Honestly, I've tried like 20 of them and I like all of them, but crisp apple is in fact my favorite. But there's a ton of flavors you could try. Supporting your gut health when cracking open a soda is the way to go. Swap out your regulars and feel better. Get the sugar out. Get a free can of Olipop. Just buy any 2 cans at the store. They'll reimburse you for one. Head to drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA to claim your free can and find Olipop near you. That's drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. Back here on Locked On Pacers and Locked On Thunder. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Locked On Grizzlies or Locked On Magic for your second listen. Desmond Bane's in the Eastern Conference. The talent is finally flocking from west to east. The
For as much
Magic might
talent
be
as Desmond
nasty.
Bane is, yeah.
The Grizzlies have lots of draft picks to maybe make themselves better. I hope. We'll see. I like that pick. That trade for both teams.
No state income tax in Tennessee, by the way. Kevin Durant watch.
No, I don't think he's going to Memphis. I do not expect that to be the case. Let's wrap this up, Rylan. Today, this is the big question. This is the first time the Pacers have faced elimination this playoffs. Last year, they played the Knicks. They were down 3-2. They won at home. Then they crushed the Knicks in MSG, famously setting the playoff record for shooting percentage in a Game 7. You just never know with this stuff. Tyrese Haliburton's injury certainly makes the you never know a little harder to say. However, it's the finals. As I've said the whole time, you never know how these moments are going to shake guys, what's going to happen along the way. Perhaps the Pacers will be the team that shrinks in the moment. They certainly did not look like themselves to start Game 5. I bring this up to say, can this get back to OKC? Because a Game 7 in the finals, you really, really never know what's going to happen.
It absolutely can. And I know that Haliburton's injury puts a damper on Game 6, but the reality of the situation is, like, the Pacers have been the best three-point shooting team in the NBA in this playoffs, and the Thunder have been the 13th of 16 playoff teams. Like, they have not been a good three-point shooting team. They've not shot the ball well on the road. And Indiana, it just takes one shot variance game to push us to a Game 7, in which you need a second shot variance game to help you win Game 7. But in the sense of just getting to the Game 7, could you see a world where, like, and this is the special thing about both fan bases, the deeply rooted understanding of basketball from Pacers fans and Thunder fans, where it's like when the Thunder were on the wrong side of a run yesterday, the fan base kind of encouraged them back and kind of didn't show the sense of worry that you would feel in that moment. And with the Pacers fans,
you know what I'll give you? It felt different than Game 1, where in Game 1 there was some intensity, and I think the fact that the Thunder closed out Game 4 made the crowd like more confident, because I didn't feel that same intensity in the building for Game 5.
Yeah, and it's like, in Pacers fans, they're gonna be rowdy tomorrow because they understand that, like, this team needs them to help propel whatever is out there, whether it's Haliburton or not, or if Haliburton's gutting it out or not. Whatever happens, the fan base is behind them. This is the opportunity that no Thunder player has been in except for Alex Caruso, which was in the bubble. So it's like, even Caruso, was he really ever in a closeout finals game in the sense of the weight of it, of being on the road, trying to win this closeout game? We've seen the Thunder in this situation before, of like, they go up 3-2 in Game 5, don't have their best stuff in Game 6, including JDub, who had a 6-point game in Game 6 on the road in Denver before coming back and crushing Denver in Game 7, to where it's just like, there's certainly a chance. Now, is there a great chance? That is dependent on Tyrese Haliburton and what he can actually give, and we just don't know that. So I hate to cop out, but if you promise me that Tyrese Haliburton was 70% or better, which, again, right now seems doom and gloom, but if he was 70% or better, then I would say that the Pacers have a really good chance to win Game 6 and have the shots fall in their direction. I do wonder what TJ looks like for the length of a game instead of just like a spark plug option, because clearly he's going to have to play a bigger role regardless of if Haliburton starts or not. TJ's going to have to play a bigger role and carry more of an offensive load that you're more so expecting if you're Oklahoma City. But in the sense of, can they do it? Yes. Like, this series is not done. This Indiana team is not done. And you can bury Indiana at your own peril, because they've been able to spit in the face of all the detractors all season long.
Yeah, if they get outshot from 3, like in Game 2 and Game 5, it's over, right? They just can't have that happen. They have to have the home court role player 3-point bump. Their bench needs to be spectacular, like it was in Game 3 of this series. I think if Haliburton doesn't play, their chances go way down. But I also signed Drew Nembhard to get the Pacers to crunch time with leads against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I think the Thunder are better defense than that Celtics team had last year, even though that Celtics defense was awesome. But I saw them do it. I was there. I watched it. They were quite good in those games, even though they won none of them. So that is where they'll miss Haliburton a lot. Is if crunch time comes, that will be quite the change. I people have been too doomy, I think, about their chances with him hobbled. I still think that the Thunder would be the favorites, especially with him not at 100%. But the Pacers every game of the playoffs, and they've won 14 of them. Like, absolutely not an over. Get it back to OKC, and it's so easy to make that speech if you're a coach or if you're a fan talking to yourself. Like, get it to a Game 7, and you just never know. Right? You just don't know what a Game 7 will feel like for anyone involved. The Thunder have played a Game 7 this year and won it. The Pacers played a Game 7 last year and won it. They won it on the road. The Thunder won it at home. Like, they've gone through that. It's the finals, man. Like, It's just a huge stage. It's super loud. There's media all the time. You just never know. That's the spiel they've got to give themselves. Get to Game 7. Can they do it? We will see. If the Pacers win, you will hear from Rylan and I one more time through this series. If not, Rylan, it's been a pleasure crossing it over with you. Where can people in Locked On Pacers land find you and the things you say about the Thunder?
You can find me Locked On Thunder the same places you find Locked On Pacers. You can find me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles, Thunder on SI as well. I think we're going to have another one in us, Tony. I really do. The odds of like the Pacers never losing back-to-back games and then losing 3 straight just don't seem in the favor of Oklahoma City with what they have coming for OKC at home. So I think we're going to be back together. But if we're not, this has been an awesome series, awesome finals, awesome crossovers.
Great ball. One of the most high-level basketball series ever, as basketball just gets better and better as a product. I've loved these. I hope we get to do another one or two if we decide to do one after Game 7. We'll see. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. You can find me, if you're a Locked On Thunder listener, at Tony R. East and Locked On Pacers, wherever you're listening to Locked On Thunder. We'll be back tomorrow in our respective feeds previewing Game 6, the keys, and we'll know more about one Tyrese Haliburton and his injury, his playing status. We'll see if he's speaking tomorrow at practice. I'd imagine that he will, but we will find out. Thank you all so much for listening today. We'll see you very soon.